Dragon up! It's the American Dragon Jake Long. Now, one of the most fun series that came out on Disney Channel. I love that Disney has more recently been getting back into a lot more multicultural animations because honestly, Jake Long for the longest time was like the biggest Asian representation on Disney outside of Mulan. Let's be real. Not to say that there were never any others, but no, Jake Long just tends to be the one that really comes to mind. And now you've got Amphibia with Anne, the ghost of Molly McGee with, well, Molly McGee. So it's nice. Not to mention different aspects of Asian culture. You got Chinese, Thai. Just expand it. Get more of those cultures in there. Teach me your ways, people. But the whole basis behind American Dragon Jake Long is that in America, you have magical creatures that are under the protection of a dragon, and most countries have a dragon that protects magical creatures from doing harm or harming the normal people, the civvies. And for a while, America never really had a dragon protector. But once the Chinese dragon protector, Lao Shi, had his daughter who didn't have the dragon abilities because it skipped her generation for some reason. But she had married an American and they had moved over to America. And they had a child, and that child was Jake Long. Also another child named Haley, who also has dragon powers. And so the Chinese dragon Lao Shi proceeds to train his grandson in the ways of protecting the magical world, specifically the inhabitants of New York's Manhattan, which, funny enough, is where I was born. So I have a weird special connection with this series just because it takes place in the place that I was born in. Not where I was raised, no, but it was where I was born, and I have a lot of family in Manhattan and stuff like that, so I always kind of liked the thought of, like, my homeland has some kind of magical connection. That's so cool, that's so interesting. But a lot of the fun comes from the fact that Jake Long, voiced by Dante Bosco, really fun voiced by Dante Bosco, is a bit of a show-off. He's very charismatic, he's very materialistic, but he also has a good heart deep down. He's a really cool kid overall. And probably the most teenager kind of character you have out there, because you tend to have a lot of characters who sometimes aren't really so socially active in a lot of situations. But Jake, no, he's a pretty cool kid. A lot of people tend to like him. It doesn't mean he doesn't have a bully, but he has some pretty nice friends, all things considered, namely Trixie and Spud. And of course, his crush Rose, played by Mae Whitman, which, Dante Bosco and Mae Whitman, I feel like we need a trifecta of Dante Bosco voicing characters who wield the power of fire and are associated with dragons, with Mae Whitman also in the mix. Because we're 2 for 2 at this point. But it was so obvious Dante Bosco had a lot of fun in this role, just throwing out slang left, right, and center. Whereas Zuko was a lot more serious and down to earth. Jake, he is fun-loving, he's high-spirited, he's free as all get out. Just a really kind of silly character to a certain degree. But when it comes to Rose, she has a dark secret, as she's actually part of this group of magic hunters and dragon slayers known as the Hunts Clan, headed by the Huntsman, and Rose is the Hunts Girl. A bit of a theme going on there. And so they're often at odds in a lot of situations up until like the very end of the series. So I like the overall story arc of the various different clashes for Jake Long. And you also have an enemy within the magical community for Jake, also known as the Dark Dragon. But all in all, it was a really fun series. And one thing that always rubbed a lot of people weird was the fact that with the first season, you had almost more realistic character designs, but not quite. They were highly stylized, but there was just a little bit more detail towards a lot of character design. But when it came time for the second season, they kind of simplified the character designs, made them more angular and all that. And even Jake's dragon design went from being this big, bulky kind of European dragon, which, I mean, I guess kind of made a little bit of sense. It was a very nice design he had going there. And then he went into this very elongated Eastern dragon design all of a sudden out of nowhere. And it was kind of jarring. And it was just like, why did you so drastically change everything? Like, it would be one thing if it was just a few things here and there, but to change Jake's design so drastically without any real explanation or transition always felt off. And the only explanation that was ever given was that the executives and the creators just did not gel with the original design. And it's just like, dude, you got us used to that design for 21 episodes. Like, come on. And one character that I most definitely have to mention is the character of Foo Dog, who's a little bit more down to earth than Lao Shi. He's a bit of an assistant to Lao Shi, and he's old as all heck. Foo Dog is just this fun, down-to-earth character who's really nice and really sweet, but also, very sassy, and he's Jake the dog. He's even voiced by Jean DiMaggio. It's just Jake the dog in a different setting, and not with his powers. Like, it's pretty much like a reincarnation almost. It's pretty funny how much of this series elements just bled into other stuff in other networks. It's pretty fascinating. But yeah, American Dragon Jake Long, it's not the longest thing around. Like a lot of series, it ran into syndication, 52 episodes, which I always say, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. A lot more episodes than that are kind of needed, but for animation, for some reason, you'll find that a lot of animated series will run for around 50 episodes. That just seems to be all a lot of networks tend to want before they are just like, okay, we could just have this and just play reruns until we're tired of the series. Like, that's the thing. A lot of series will just hit 50 episodes and they're just like, okay, even if the show is doing pretty well, unless it's doing like SpongeBob levels of good, yeah, it's just like, once we hit 50, it's just like, okay, we're done with you. Go, bye-bye. Shoo shoo. That's why a series that manages to get to 3 seasons is like, you're golden. If you can secure 3 seasons, like, get out while you still can. Like, plan for 3 seasons if you can, and if you make it to 3 seasons, you've done amazing. And I guess that's why Jake Long's second season had 31 episodes, just to get it past that 50 episode threshold so that the network could just play reruns up until they just weren't interested in playing the series anymore. Do I think that the series needed a 3rd season? No, not quite. I feel like there was more you could have done, but I think it ran its course, and I feel like anything more and you get even more weird changes towards the series. But the 3rd season really did open up more of the American Dragon lore and all that good stuff, and it ended on a pretty good note. So if it never comes back, that's all well and dandy. But if it did come back, I would hope that it came back with someone who just treated it with a good amount of respect. Because this is a series that I could see taking place pretty much at any time. Jake had a great personality that I feel, if done right, would lend itself very well to a revival. But let's not poke the bear on that one. But tell me your thoughts on American Dragon Jake Long. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you even know about this series in general? How did you feel about the change in design? Did it sit well with you, or were you really put off by it well into the second season? And would you like to see a revival series? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.